You know how the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. There's no doubt that we're going through a unique time in history with unique challenges surrounding us. And yet, can that be said about everything? We already have gone through a series in Exodus where we found that Moses was going through a spiritual formation process that has key links to our own spiritual formation, our own lives. After all, have any of you ever felt humbled in your spiritual life? Have you ever felt like you were on one path and then all of a sudden sent on another? Have you ever felt like you had to ask fundamental questions like, who is God and who am I? Have you ever been called on a journey with God and felt initial success, but then were steeped in failure at the beginning and wondering what was the point? Have you ever longed with intimacy with God or felt like you were just nearly at the promised land and then all of it was taken away? You see, all of these things were things that Moses dealt with. And as we went through the Perilous Path to Peace series, we saw how Moses was on this journey with God. You see, all of those struggles were felt by Moses and are also felt by us. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And we, the preaching team, noticed that actually there was more to be gained out of this experience through the desert. For just as Moses was facing his own spiritual formation journey, the whole nation of Israel was facing that as well. And as you zoom out, looking not just at the Exodus story, but looking at the story of the nation of Israel, the story of the Old Testament, you can see that the nation of Israel, the people of God, had been for a long time on a spiritual formation journey. And the more we looked at it, the more we said, the more things change, the more things stay the same. So we indicated before that our next series would stay in the wilderness, not just looking at Moses, but looking at the nation of Israel. And so now we'd like to take you on a series we're calling The Never-Ending Story. We're going to start in Genesis, and we're going to go through the Old Testament, and we're going to notice some of those stories that just keep on staying the same. Now, of course, there will be differences, and we're going to contextualize it into our lives every step of the way. But even as we're facing all these challenges of the pandemic, and even as we as a church are facing unique struggles in this time of transition, we think that God has something to say to us as a church, as we are formed together as a community, as we are brought together under a holy God. And just as the nation of Israel, as they find themselves in the wilderness, they also find themselves getting collectively closer together and closer to God. So join us on this never-ending story journey as we discover together how we are being formed as Queensway Baptist Church, the people of God. Now, as we travel this journey together, we recognize that some of us are just barely hanging in during this pandemic. So if all you have opportunity to do is just kind of splash in the waves with us and join in on the sermons on Sunday, we understand. But if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, we invite you to go snorkeling with us, and that is to join us with our reading plan. The Bible reading plan can be downloaded from queensway.org and will provide more context, more opportunity for God to speak to you during this time. Now, if you'd like to go a little bit deeper than that, join us for our scuba diving level, which is to join in on the Slack conversation. If you're already connected to Slack, you can join in on the Sermon Discussions channel, and if you're not connected to Slack, email us and we'd be happy to get you connected. Every week there's going to be a new discussion question which we can engage with throughout the week and dig deeper with one another through our online discussion. And finally, if you'd like to go deep sea exploring into your faith and really see what God has for you in this series, we invite you to a small group. Our small groups are all available on queensway.org/small groups. You can join anyone at any time. They're open for all who are willing to be held to the covenant responsibilities, which are all posted online. We hope that you will sign in and join with us as we deeply explore what Jesus has for us in this never-ending story.